we're going to dive in today. We did an email marketing webinar as our very first one a few years ago. And obviously, a lot of practices are the same. However, we did not get into a little bit of the more sophisticated practices. So that's one of the reasons why I thought it would be beneficial to do an updated one. Also, things are obviously changing a lot. So let's just dive into it. Really quick agenda. We're going to get into introduction, fundamentals, like what are the basics of email marketing, segmentation and personalization, which is creating more of a customized experience for your readers. Automation, email sequences and series. Finally, advanced strategies, growth hacking, how to avoid the spam filter, how to capitalize on all the AI tools you have at your disposal now. So we are going to have, let me go back. We are going to have broken Q&As throughout the presentation. I do ask that you please put your questions into the Q&A part of the bottom bar if you're on a desktop. And also, I would ask that you please, with the questions, if you could target them to the section we just covered. We're going to have an open Q&A at the end, so you can ask, like, where do I actually start my email marketing? What tools, what platforms, how do I do it, etc. And yeah, so let's dive in. Most of you know who we are. We're a marketing agency. We're not an OnlyFans management firm. We work on flat project fees. We do not take a cut of your earnings. That is yours, in my opinion. No shade to only managed managers, but anyway, if you would like to learn more about us, I'm going to stay on at the end. Happy to answer any questions you have about our services, about how we could collaborate, and just in general, overall marketing support. So diving in to the questions here about the foundations and fundamentals. Now, one of the biggest things that I personally hear is like, why should I do it? It's just an added extra to all the shit I already have to do to market my brand and business. So, why does it matter in 2025? It is still one of the most effective marketing tools you have at your disposal. And people are always like, well, I don't want to bother people. It seems like it irritates them. No, if you are building your list in the right way, which we're going to do really quickly next, people want to hear from you. They signed up. They want to get your emails. Obviously, they may not want to get them every day, but I commend you if you can manage doing email marketing every day. But the biggest thing is you are not a prisoner to algorithms. You know, social media, you are renting that fan base. You are renting that audience. With an email list, you own it, no matter what happens with the algorithms, whether you get an account banned, whether OnlyFans goes down tomorrow. You still have that owned audience. So even if you're not ready to start sending right now, I encourage all of you to start building that list. It is future proofing. Excuse me. And it's also capitalizing on touch points. So for a brand to make a sale, it typically takes, what is it, 8 to 12 touch points. They've got to hear about you in every single space of the internet, offline, whatever. So it's an added touch point and it's a captive audience. Email also has one of the highest conversion rates of any marketing tool. So this is on average, regardless of the industry. For every $1 you invest in building an email marketing campaign, whether that be overhead costs of sending, whether it be the value of your time, whether it be softwares, whatever, every $1, the average return is 36 to 41. That's insane. So keep it in mind. Keep it in mind. Now, when you're building your list, because this is obviously where you start, just don't buy them. And definitely, this is the biggest one that we encounter, people using outdated lists. Okay, so you really can't be using a list from like 4 years ago unless you have maintained it. And we're going to talk later on about keeping a clean list. But if you use a list where people have not consented to being on your personal list, it's going to hurt your deliverability rate because Gmail, email providers, they look at the overall engagement rate because they don't want to be supporting spam. So if they see a list that has tons of bounce backs or has a very low engagement rate, and engagement means like they open your email, they click, they regularly engage with it. Um, they're going to flag that as spam, or they're just not going to deliver it at all. Now, it'll also damage your brand reputation, not just in like a conceptual way, but also in terms of the reputation that your email address, your sender score has. So if you get a lot of unsubscribes, Gmail's going to look at that and be like, these emails are not engaging. They're not offering, you know, productive content. They're not, it's just not good. So it will flag you as spam more likely. Also, big thing, it's going to violate privacy laws, whether it's GDPR in the European Union, whether it's the Can Spam Act in the United States. You really, really, really have to abide by the privacy laws. Also, if you have low engagement, you don't have what signals to Gmail their trust. So if you have no relationship in terms of your readers, your subscribers, and when I say subscribers, I mean to your email list, not like your OnlyFans subscribers or whatever else. So if they're not engaging with your email, number one, you're not making money off of it. So you really, really, really want to prioritize the quality of the list versus just having tons of people on it. So if you are an in-person worker and you have all of your client emails or inquiry emails, and if they have not consented explicitly to joining that email list, technically you can't add them. Okay? So just keep in mind quality over quantity. Okay? Oops. So how do you ethically build a quality list? You absolutely want to focus on long game. And this is sort of one of my Mr. Miyagi things, like long game, long game. Always invest in the long game over short returns. Okay, so you definitely want to use opt-in forms. Okay, whether that be on a personal website, whether that be like a landing page, you always want to have people consenting explicitly. You want to keep those sign-up forms real simple. Okay, I've seen sign-up forms where people are like, I want to know where they came from. I want to know this. I want to know that. It's like, keep it simple. Otherwise, the more fields you have, the less people are likely to actually fill them out. So I would say the two that you really want to focus on at first are going to be obviously their email address. And ideally, you want to capture their first name because that enables you to personalize. And we're going to talk about how personalization really does impact engagement, open rates, and engaging content. So you want to offer real value in exchange for getting their email. So it's like a give to get kind of thing. Incentivize them, offer them something in exchange for them giving you their email. So you could offer a trial link, you could offer a discount code. You could offer like, hey, you're gonna get behind the scenes clips that no one else gets because you are on my email list. You can give bonus time. I mean, if you don't want to give away free type stuff, like on our website, if you go to, I'm gonna pop it in the chat. We are PS. Someone tell me how to spell our own website. I think it's resources. You will see that some of the worksheets that we've given away before, that's called a lead magnet. That is saying, hey, you want this free thing? Would love to give it to you. There is a value associated with it, and we need your email in exchange for it. So they are consenting to giving you their email, and in exchange, they're getting something of real value. Uh, we already did that. Okay, so there are two ways of having, yes, really quickly, recording will be available afterwards. We always record and post. It always takes us a hot minute to edit and everything, but that's because of Carly. So really quickly, how do you make sure that you get their email in an ethical way? And to ensure that they really do want to be on the list, you've got two options, what are called a single opt-in and then a double opt-in. Double opt-in, I'm sure you guys have experienced it. It is where you have a confirmation second step. So when you put your email in, let's say you want to get emails from Home Depot. I mean, I don't, but a lot of people do. So Home Depot, for example, will say, okay, you've got an email in your inbox to activate your subscription. You have to click the link. So it's two steps to be added to that email list. We have a client who's based in Germany. She needs a double opt-in because of laws and privacy, and she just wants to make sure that she's fully in compliance. It is by no means required. And the benefits of having a single opt-in, which we do, is that you grow your list faster and it has fewer steps. There's less drop off. Because if you do have that second step, you're going to lose some people who just either don't do it, have regret. I don't know. But a double opt-in, you're going to get a much cleaner, more engaged list because they're more invested. They've taken the time to click that activation link. Okay, what are the drawbacks of having a single opt-in? You're going to get fake emails, you're going to get typos, you're going to get spam entries, things like that. With double, it's going to be a slower growth. So single is usually better. Honestly, with sex work marketing, I think you're okay to do single. It is absolutely 100% a preference. Okay. So that's just awareness of it. Um, did we do that? Yes. Okay. So getting into how do you create engaging emails? Okay. You want to master subject lines. This is, I don't know. I mean, compliance, ethically building your list, number one. Number two, in terms of the actual email, subject lines, by far most important in 2025. You want to make sure they are short, okay? Because they're going to get cut off in that preview inbox. So don't go nuts on like a huge long rambling subject line. You want to leverage curiosity, like use your psychology skills, which all of you have. So think about what causes you to open an email. What causes you to be like, oh, maybe that's going to have interesting content. I'm going to click on it. I'm going to open it. You want to avoid spammy words. Okay, we're gonna dive in later. We even have a link to like a whole list of spam trigger words, but don't put don't put spammy words. And then finally, personalization. This is why you want to grab someone's first name. Adding their first name in a subject line can increase opens by 22%. So something to think about. Like when they have my email in a line, in a subject line, I mean, it depends. Like sometimes I'm like, oh, that's creepy. And then I'm like, oh, I gave it to them. But it is more engaging. It catches your attention, I think. Now, when you want to look at the actual content, because I know a lot of people struggle with what do I say? A lot of people struggle with that. I think it is, I think it's across the board like one of the biggest challenges. Um, so you want to just, number one, don't overthink it. I overthink it. This is one of those like, do what I say, not what I do. So talk to them like a friend. Talk to them as you speak. Speak on brand, whatever your brand is. If you haven't got a really clear sense of your brand, we do have a webinar on our website, which is all about branding for sex work. So definitely check that out. But in your email copy, copy being the text, the content, don't confuse people. Like, we all have attention spans of gnats at this point in our lives. It's like, email, squirrel. So, definitely one call to action because you want them to take, you have one goal. You want them to do XYZ. So, also, again, back to the gnat attention span. Make it skimmable. People don't read, they scan. So it's really good to have subheaders, to use bolding, to have breaks throughout, and keep sentences short. Do not have more than 2, 3 sentences max in a paragraph. Okay, just make it easy to consume, assuming that people are going to read about 20% of it. And most important, those calls to action that you have, make them impactful. Tell people exactly what you want them to be doing. Okay, so be clear. Don't be too gimmicky. Don't be too cutesy and clever. It has to be really obvious. Like, register here, book a date now, buy this video. Be really, really clear. Okay, you want to use action verbs? benefits. Like people want to know that there is a value to what they're going to get out of that action. You ideally want the call to action to visually stand out. Now, this is really important, especially because so many people are consuming emails on mobile. So you want it to be really easy to click that button. Buttons are great. You want to make sure there's enough space around the button so that people can click on it with their thumb. You want to leverage different colors. So have a clear color that contrasts with the rest of the color scheme. You don't need to go overboard. Don't need to be worrying about like, oh, is this pretty or not? It's like, who cares? Just make it obvious that that is the call to action. Also, like, create a sense of like, you got to do it now. There's a timeline, but stay honest. Don't be like, you've got 2 hours. If they do have 2 hours, great. But if there's really 4 hours, then stay honest. Okay, we covered the fundamentals. Does anyone, okay, we are going to get into coverage of email service providers at the end, as well as looking for like the different opportunities that we have, or tools, I should say. Does anyone have any questions on what we motored through there? One of the questions is, what would you suggest offering as an incentive to subscribe if you only do in-person work, no online? You could say something like, if you click this and book in the next 48 hours, you get 15 extra minutes. You could say, get my exclusive behind the scenes picture from my latest photo shoot. There are different things that you can think of. And also, we are going to be giving away at the end of this a bonus PDF, which is going to have it is going to have 80 ideas for topics that you can use as inspiration and thought starters for your emails. So we're definitely going to be looking at that afterwards. But does that answer that question, I hope? Yeah? You're welcome, Aurora. So Jasmine has asked, I have been building my list since 2018 by an ethical method of opt-in, but she fell off since 2020. How do you clean up a list? You know what? We are going to get into list maintenance at the end. However, I would say the biggest thing you can do is ask them. Ask them in an email, send in small batches, because you don't want to hurt your deliverability rate or your sender score because you're getting too many bounces or low engagement rates. So I would send in batches and say, hey, haven't talked to you in a while. Want to make sure that you still want to receive these emails. And just have them click confirm, reply to you if you're doing it manually. But yeah, they want to hear from you. So say hello, say, hey, I'm picking back up on this for whatever reasons, whether it's like, ooh, email's super cool now. Or it could be like social sucks. So yeah, definitely re-engage them. And that's also something you can do if you're finding that you're getting people who are not regularly opening your emails. You can always be like, hey, I missed you. Do you still want to stay on this list? And if they don't take an action to stay on the list, get rid of them. Put them on a sub list that you don't send to. Um, so does that answer your question, Jasmine? Cool. Thank you. Okay, I think we got one more question. Okay. Cecilia, I'm gonna pause on that question because we're gonna get into testing. But I think we're cool to dive into the next section. Okay. So this is all about segmentation personalization. Okay, what is segmentation? The definition is the practice of dividing your email list into smaller targeted groups. And you target and segment based on shared characteristics or shared behaviors. So, why segment matters? I mean, if you're just struggling with sending it in the first place, don't worry. All of this is like compounding in terms of like stages, steps. The number one biggest thing is start collecting emails. Number two, get in the habit of actually sending them. That is the biggest challenge. So if you're like, oh my God, I don't even want to think about this, that's cool. This is just information for down the road. However, if you are at a place where you're utilizing your email list, then these are good things to start factoring into your strategies. So why does segmentation matter? Your audience. I am not the same as McKenna, as Jasmine, as Cecilia, as anyone who is here. So it's not a one size fits all thing. You definitely want to provide a more personalized experience because when you feel like it's relevant to you, you're going to be more in you're going to be more likely to click. You're going to be more likely to open. You're going to be less likely to unsubscribe. So it increases your engagement. It improves your ROI. You get people who are more satisfied with the content you're giving them. And I'm saying content in the context of emails. So the more relevant it is, the more valuable it becomes to your readers. And the more valuable it is, the more sales you're going to get. Okay, so personalized stats. If you personalize a subject line, you're going to get higher open rates, most likely. Okay, so something as simple as saying Carly in the subject line, likely 26% more to open. You're going to get higher click-through rates if you have personalized content within the email, up to 50% higher click-through rates. That's crazy. Now, how can you segment? Like, what are the things you can do? You can do it based on their demographic, whether they are male, female, non-binary, based on location, behavioral. If they are more likely and have demonstrated that they are in-person style customers versus exclusively online and digital customers. You can base it on psychographics, which is interest based. So you could have a list that's entirely like, these are my ball busting subs. These are my loyal fan subs. These are subs that opted in via my Substack. Some people do that. Just as a note, if you have a Substack and you're utilizing their email marketing feature, fabulous. It is not email marketing, though. It is literally just sending that Substack post to your list. You can't do any of this stuff through Substack directly because it's not like you can post like, hey, I'm going on tour, or click here, you're going to get 10% off. So that's just a note. You could do it based on engagement. So we definitely have lists of like people who have opened in the past, people who are actively engaged and click, people who they purchase things in the past, whether they are new subs, whether they are repeat engagers, repeat customers, whether they are your VIP people. So there are all different ways you can segment. We have one client who segments through every single tour location she's ever thought of. She's got like 80 lists. It's insane. Whether she uses all those lists, I don't know, but it's great that you have that data in case you ever want to. Okay, how to personalize without being like super creepy. Number one thing, first name in the subject line. We talked about this. Then you can tailor the content based on their past behavior. Like, since you bought my, Shrek cosplay video, you're gonna love this one. You can have dynamic content, meaning you're saying the same stuff more or less, but there's a different component in terms of the offer. Like maybe you're going to say, okay, people who have never purchased with me are going to get 15% discount code versus people who are loyal. Maybe it's just an announcement. So you can also personalize versus on timing. So if someone is based Pacific, maybe it's not the same exact time that you send it out if they're in GMT and in Europe. Personalized based on their past engagement. Those are all different ways of doing it. Oop, we already got that. Okay, so here's an example with a very blurry screenshot. But this is emails that I received personally in both my personal real life email as well as my Carly email. And look at this, different subject lines, different subject lines. And throughout the email, there were some personalized things. Super simple Carly, super simple Caitlin, my real name. So this was a really good example of being able to customize and test subject lines, which is, I think, Cecilia, gonna eventually go to your point. But you see the subject lines? Like, yeah, they're a little clickbaity, but who cares? They're great. It made me open both. They've got emojis in there. That's a great thing to try as well. Uh, and we are now to another Q&A. What are your thoughts on personalization, on segmentation? Do you guys have different ideas or, suggestions for ways that you would segment or things that you have done that have worked or not worked? I often feel like I'm speaking to a void, so I love hearing when you guys have recommendations, when you have insights that you've developed. Anyone? Maybe? No? Why is Substack not email marketing? Okay, it is not email marketing. Let me make sure I'm framing this correctly. Email marketing in the same definition as marketing. Okay, Substack is not email marketing. Can't customize. You can't segment. You can't, anything you're sending is literally just whatever post you just did on Substack. So you're just really, really limited. It is email marketing in the way that you are getting people to opt in. You are getting people to join that list. However, you're not really marketing to them. It's literally just a notification that this new post went up. So does that answer your question, ZB? Maybe? Cool. Um, okay. Now, email marketing services you recommend that are adult friendly. Gonna get into that. That's gonna be at the very end. I promise you. And unfortunately, it's a really complicated answer. But I do promise, Anonymous, that we will address that for sure. Okay. What segment leads leads to target them with a more would you segment leads to target them with more specific call to action emails? Absolutely, McKenna. Absolutely. You want to test. You want to see what's working. Um, you want to see what isn't working. Um, you want to see if that language works better than click now or book now or say hello, get in touch, let's talk, let's connect. Like there are all sorts of things that you could use. Again, we're going to talk about AI tools and leveraging that, but seriously, ChatGPT, that shit, like I struggle with the process of accepting that AI using ChatGPT or whatever other AI tool you use, um, it's not cheating. It really isn't. It is just the next phase of marketing, productivity, society progress. Like I use ChatGPT for everything, I will be honest. Like I wish it could blow dry my hair for me. However, it has given me suggestions on cut and color. Um, Obviously neither one I paid attention to, but it is not cheating. It is leveraging. And it's kind of like I liken it to when Twitter started in like, what was it, 2008 or something? Everyone was so reticent to get on the social media bandwagon. Guess what? It's here to stay. Use it. And the sooner you get on board with it, the sooner you embrace it, the sooner you start refining and honing those skills associated with how do I use this? How do I train it for my needs? Trust me, the better off you're going to be. You're going to be so much further ahead than the people who are resistant. So, um, any other questions about segmentation, personalization, how to test things, ideas? Jasmine added, I have to simplify my opt-in form, but I segment, ask them if they want to receive my full newsletter, just my tour dates, announcements on the store. It helps. Fabulous, Jasmine. I think that's a really good plan. One thing you might want to do if you're going to simplify that opt-in form is going to be an email sequence, an automated welcome sequence. And that is a great way when you get people opting in. Excuse me. Uh, we're going to get to this. I'm a little jumping ahead here, but that is a great thing to send in the welcome email, whether it be the first email or if you're getting into series and sequences. You can ask them, hey, I've got a couple of newsletters here. Which one do you want to go on? Do you want to get them all? Do you want to opt out of certain emails but stay on the master list? These are great things. Again, ask people. They want to be engaged. They want to hear from you. So, automation, huge game changer. I automated the email last night, whether it's something as simple as scheduling, I was not up at, well, I was up at like 6 this morning, but you're not going to be up at 6 in the morning and you want to send an email 6 in the morning, set it all up in advance. Okay, so it is also preset emails. Okay, we want to work smarter, not harder, because let's be honest, with everything we have to do to promote and market our businesses and our brands, we don't got time for that shit. So the more you can automate, the more you can set things up in advance. Like take a Sunday afternoon, set it all up, write them, schedule them, arrange them, secure them, test them, then you're good. Um, so automated series means you've got an email, you've got that initial email, and then based on how people interact or don't interact with that email, you schedule, you set up conditional next email. So you've got sequences. And so let's say you're like, okay, I send out a welcome email. So anytime anyone signs up for my list, I automatically have it set up so they get a, hey, thank you so much for joining. Here's your lead magnet value incentive. Or like, hey, let me know what list you want to be on or whatever. Based on their behavior, you can set up the next email, which is automated saying everyone who opened that email 3 days later is going to get a follow-up email. They're going to get something that says, hey, blah, 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 blah. Here's another value. Here's another incentive. Here's some sort of content that is going to build brand trust. It's going to keep the conversation, like whether it's a one-way conversation or not, it's going to keep the conversation going. You're top of mind, you're staying in their inbox, you're improving your deliverability. So this works 24/7. You set it up, you could be sending shit all round the clock. I wouldn't advise it, but when you set it up in advance, it's rinse and repeat. You can set it, forget it. Forget it. Obviously, you want to look at the data and tweak accordingly, but it helps with building and creating that loyalty, sense of engagement. There we go. Go back. You're nurturing relationships at scale. So you don't have to be like responding manually to every single one. And it ensures that you're consistent, okay? Because that's the biggest challenge, remaining consistent. Remaining consistent. And email programs, email service providers like a Gmail, like a Proton Mail, Yahoo, whatever, they want to see consistency. If it is once a month, they love seeing it once a month. If you start doing every single day after never doing it before, it's going to be like, ooh, spammy. So be consistent, whether that is once a week, whether that is every 2 months, be consistent. So this enables you to be consistent even when you're sleeping or when you're streaming or when you are on tour. So that's a big thing. Automated emails generate 320% more revenue because set. You don't have to think about it. It's done. It's all set up in advance. You've already thought about the strategy. You've already thought about the content. You've got your calls to action and it's done. So it's like passive income in a way where you've got your clip stores and you just have that shit that is automatically going to bring you in that income without having to really think about it, actively manage it, etc. Okay, so what are some sequences you can do? We talked about a welcome series. You could also do like a sales funnel. Like you want to prime them, you want to build trust in the next email with like value. And then you want to present your promo, your offer, what you're trying to sell them. And then if they haven't done anything, you follow up and be like, hey, only a day left, or whatever else. Re-engagement sequence. We talked about this. Give them a reason to engage. Give them a reason to stay on your list. You can upsell. You can cross-sell. So since you bought my cosplay video, I bet you're gonna love my ball busting video. I mean, maybe they would, maybe they wouldn't. I don't know. You'll find out. But after they purchase something, give them something suggesting to upsell. If you're curious about sales psychology techniques and how to really leverage your time for maximum ROI, we've got a Mastering Sales Psychology webinar. Also on our website, if you're watching this on YouTube afterwards, we got it there. But there's also a bonus worksheet that we give out on our wearepsgroup.com/resources. You'll see that's a lead magnet. So I encourage you guys to check that out. But quick tips. Test. I swear to God, test. Test, test, test. Prime example of bad testing. When Carly sent out the first announcement and the registration link in one of the call to action buttons was wrong. Guess what? It happens. It happens. Not the end of the world. Send a follow-up. Be like, oops, I messed up. And that is the relatability factor. Own it, not a big deal. No one is going to hold it against you. Okay, I mean, we had one person unsubscribe as a result of that email. So seriously, it's okay. Do not beat yourself up over it. Okay, so personalize those automated emails because you don't want to sound robotic. You don't want to sound ChatGPT-ish. Like a friend of mine said, you're the only person I know who swears in your newsletters. And I was like, well, it's because I swear. And ChatGPT doesn't. So make sure, as much as I am a huge fan of leveraging AI, you got to put a little manual sprinkle of the personal brand glitter on it. So just make it sound like you. Okay, you want to monitor it. So while it is set and forget, rinse and repeat, you do have to keep an eye on it. If people are not opening, if people are not clicking, adjust it. Maybe try a different subject line. Maybe try a different call to action. Maybe change the color of the button. Who knows? You can try all of that. Okay, first of all, don't take on too much. Try one. Start with one. One is enough. Once you got that down, try another. But don't try to do them all at once. And don't try to create a series of like 10. Like, start with 2. That's fine. An email, follow up. That's enough. You're good. Focus first. If you're gonna start somewhere, start on the welcome sequence. That usually tends to be the highest converter because they just put their email in. You are top of mind. So get in the top of their inbox too. Okay, any questions? Any questions? Any thoughts? Any ideas? Any curiosity? Any overwhelmed? Like, is anyone overwhelmed by all of this? I know I get overwhelmed. So okay. Oh, we do have a question. Cool. Question. Uh any thoughts on how these methods work on platforms? You know what, Ashley? That is a really good question. And if you will bear with me, that's something that is such a good question. I would love to dive into it really in depth at the end. If you don't mind sticking around, like we can have an open conversation. Um, because a lot of these practices can be applied to clip stores, fan sites, things like that, where you have access to someone's DM inbox. But yes, 1000%, that is a great point. I'm really glad you mentioned it because engagement, absolutely. Give them an incentive for turning on their auto renew. Give them an incentive for resubscribing. Give them special opportunity, special value. Um, Direct them to other sites without getting banned by saying shit in the, yeah, you know what I'm saying. So, yeah, very, very, very good point. I'd love to have an open conversation and dialogue about that at the end if people are game. Um, okay, so any other questions? Any other thoughts, clarifications? Maybe? Ooh, shit, we're running late. Okay, so let's dive into really quickly some advanced strategies and how to grow. Okay, again, use AI. It's here. It's here. You can upload screenshots into ChatGPT with example screen subject lines and the data that you have and be like, hey, based on this data, give me some recommendations for different subject lines. How can I personalize this? One thing I totally skipped over and is actually one of the most important things in 2025, that preview text. Okay, iPhone 18. It is now popping everything into the equivalent of what Gmail has right now, the promotions folder. Don't freak out. People are increasingly checking that folder because this is now common practice for email delivery, email service providers. Okay, but the preview text, that little snippet, iPhone 18 now summarizing, Gmail summarizing. You need to have that preview text, that snippet, which summarizes in a way. But you want to keep it engaging. You want to keep the curiosity. You want to create the sense of interest and urgency, scarcity, exclusivity, all those sales techniques. So if you don't indicate that, iPhone 18, Gmail, all of that, they're going to look towards the first few sentences of your email. So make those first few sentences mean something, whether it be personalized, whether it is clear segmentation, whether it is like just being strong. Choose your words, be intentional, make them powerful with impact. But AI can also predict what are the best times to be sending these emails. It's going to be able to personalize your content in a mass way. So just start using it, whatever platform you decide to use. I'm a huge fan of ChatGPT Premium. It's not as prohibitive in terms of service as we think. There are ways to manipulate the language and the prompts you use. So I know there is adult specific one. I have not used it personally. I've heard different things about it, but absolutely, whatever you end up using, use it. Use it. But put your bedazzled personal stuff on it. Okay, now simple testing ideas. A/B split testing. So you saw in that email that I showed for Marie or Leo, I believe is how to pronounce her name. She tested subject lines. So test one thing at a time. If you're trying to do too many variables, you're going to have no idea what is actually working and what's influencing the results and the behavior. So test your subject lines. Send out half your list with one subject line, other half with another subject line. See how it works. Test, learn, tweak. Find out your discoveries, adjust your, I guess, your changes or your revisions accordingly. You can test call to action buttons, whether that's the color, whether that's the placement in the email, whether it's the top, the bottom, within the text, etc. You can try out the layout design. You could do a lot of pictures. I wouldn't advise it because it takes up people's data, doesn't always load, but you can try it. You can try all text. You could try where you're bolding certain words. You can try all sorts of things. But with tiny changes, you can usually see a 10 to 30% improvement in open and click-through rate. So click-through rate being anyone who clicks within having opened the email. Now, email deliverability basics. Okay, there is this is all the boring shit, but it has to be said. Okay, domain authentication. You have to have these now. This is really tricky and it gets really techy and confusing. I actually have 2 calls in the next 2 days all about domain authentication stuff. So I would encourage you to Google, to ChatGPT, to really figure out domain authentication basically means it's not a bullshit URL you're sending it from, like you're actually verified it according to email providers. Okay, now, really important, avoid spam triggers. Okay, words like free, and then also clickbait, like open now, blah, blah, blah. Urgency, while you do want to encourage the idea of urgency, specific words will trigger spam. So there is, one second, you also want to avoid like all caps, excessive, exclamation points, like anything that pisses you off and irritates you when you get an email, just don't do it. So this is, technically you can just Google. I'm going to try to put this in the chat in GageBay.com. There are a lot of these spam word spam words list. There we go. That should work. If it doesn't, just I'll send it afterwards. So those are words you want to avoid in the subject line primarily. You can fold them into your actual content, but some words will really trigger in the mind of the email service. Okay, list health. Someone talked about this earlier. I believe it was Jasmine. Yeah, you want to clean your list as a practice every 6 to 12 months, which is why you don't want to take a list that's 8 years old, 20,000 people on it, blast them, and then get your domain blacklisted. Okay, it is possible to get, if people are reporting that email address, that domain URL for unauthorized, like I didn't sign up for this list, or this is spam and should be reported. We've all unsubscribed from emails that we either, long time ago signed up for, don't remember signing up for, and we never signed up for. And we're like, you could be reported. Little anecdote. Brilliant and Carly, at my corporate job many years ago, I sent out a mass blast to my boss's entire LinkedIn list, which was like 12, 13,000 emails. Had any of them opted in? No. We got reported and we were put on notice where if I had sent it out again, or been reported one more time, it would blacklist your domain. Okay. And that means my entire company's website would suddenly not be available. It would mean that any of our email addresses on that branded domain not working. Don't do it. Okay. Don't be Carly. Do what I say, not what I do. But I have learned from now on, always, always have people opt in. Okay. Now, when you're cleaning your list, remove inactive people. Like, either ask them if they want to stay on before you remove them, or if it's been like 3 years and they haven't opened anything, like just take them off. You can often fix typos by manually going through your list and seeing Yahoo as opposed to Yahoo or Yahoo. Who knows? But you can fix typos that are intuitive. Maybe that will work. You want to delete any that are obviously spam entries. Um, Also, very important, no matter what you do, whether you're using a tool or attempting to do this manually, which I don't advise, but we're going to get into what options do we actually have for emails marketing providers. Have to honor those unsubscribes. Okay, if you're doing it manually, it is a bitch. However, if you're using an email marketing tool, it will frequently manage that for you. But if you don't honor them, I believe it is like 7 business days you have to remove them. You could be in violation of the Canned Spam Act. So just do it. It's a bitch, pain in the ass. Just do it. Yeah. So finally, sender reputation. This is the reputation, the email address that you are sending your email marketing, your newsletters, whatever from. You get a score. Like, the internet keeps score. So one of the things you can do to improve your sender reputation, consistency, whether it be once a week, whether it be once a year, make sure it is consistent. You can add over time, but what you don't want to do is what we do, which is like blasting all at once and then not sending for months. Okay, that's going to look like spam. So work on improving your engagement rates. Deliver on the value you're claiming. Don't have like constantly being like big bonus in your subject line, and there ain't shit in the email that's a bonus. Like, just remain honest, remain ethical. Now, if you want to know what your personal sender score is, senderscore.com. Double check. Yeah, I know. It's like looking to see if you Google yourself and what comes up. It's a little, but senderscore.com. Check it out, see where you're at. Do I have more? Yes. Okay. Top 5 tips. Ethical list building. Okay, we talked about that. Work on those irresistible emails, whether it is the subject line, the snippet, the preview, the engaging copy, the call to action. Don't be cutesy, like make it clear what you want people to do and what it's about. You want to segment and personalize. I spelled strategically wrong. So that was not strategic, that was just an error. But you want to segment with thought behind it, with intention. If you can, set up automated sequences, welcome emails, sales funnels, re-engagement, upsells. You want to experiment, learn, test, optimize. And finally, here we go, your bonus PDF. I did not set this up as a lead magnet. We're actually working on a whole new PS Group website. So it's there. Once it goes onto the actual new website, it will be a welcome email sequence. We're working on that. But if you want to get in touch with us, if you want to learn more about what we do, obviously, wearepsgroup.com. Hello at wearepsgroup.com. We're on socials at, guess what? We are PS Group. Even though I'm really bad at socials, so don't hold that against me. And yes, questions. Questions. In terms of options that are available, in terms of sending, answer live, the adult specific chat GPT, I believe it is called GPT Tees. It is, it was built by Melrose Michaels, who does sexworkceo.com. So I haven't used it. Some people really love it. And it is more, I think it's still working out some kinks, pun intended. But yeah, definitely check that out. Honestly, I would recommend using all of them. Use all of them because combining the results you get, because they have different thought processes, algorithms, like use the results that have been given to you by ChatGPT, pop them into Perplexity. If you get Perplexity stuff, put it into GPTs. Try everything. Now, the biggest problem is, and I am so afraid I don't have a foolproof answer for this, what email platforms we have available. So I would say, number one, first and foremost, no matter what platform you end up using or trying, always, always, always hold on to a hard copy, but like a digital backup of that list. Export it. I would say once a month, once a week if you're on something that's a little. Don't go to MailChimp. Don't go to, I've heard bad things about, it's iffy with Flowdesk. Ideally, it's kind of the same as if you're creating multiple TikToks. You really want to isolate as much as you can. Be wary of the terms of service. Overall, in general, you want to keep things pretty safe for work regardless, both by law and just be careful. Just be careful. Everything's going safe for work now, so it's like a little safer to do that. We actually have a solution in which we'll have WordPress-based custom landing pages, which if any of you are interested, we do them so that it's like a custom link tree, but it specifically is configured with an in-house email marketing functionality in the back end. So you can go in to the back end of your website. We teach you how to do it, and you can manage your list. You can segment, you can see the data, and you send and schedule and all of that directly through your website. It is configured for you to do that. So that is one solution. If it's something where you're wanting to see how to do that on your own, give me a shout. Happy to walk you through it. If not, we'd love to build it for you. But seriously, it is, I would say, I've heard that you can get away with Squarespace if you have a Squarespace site, an account. and try that. Wix, I have heard, is iffy, but you can try it. Flowdesk is iffy, but you can try it. There is an email provider, marketing provider specifically for the adult industry. I'm not going to name it, but ethically and also in terms of spam blacklisted IPs, I wouldn't recommend it. Also, it's very antiquated, like the design and embedding and everything. So if you want to know the name of it, welcome to pop me a DM afterwards. But yeah, I think we have a bunch of questions here. Uh, yes. So, okay, the spam filter. Are lingerie photos considered not safe for work? I don't think so. I think that's okay. I would not include nudes. If you are using a tool like the Squarespace native email marketing option, then I would keep it fully safe for work, just to be on the safe side, because especially if you are using that as your website, you don't want to tick any red flags. You don't want to give them a reason to check you out. Does that answer your question, Cecilia? Cool. Okay. And Ashley, okay, I have another question re platforms and emailing. I've sort of built this brand, chose down men, but I've used it maybe a dozen times. How can I adjust my approach without seeming thirsty? I do see value in it. Slowly but surely is what I'm thinking. Uh, Ashley, that's kind of like a sales psychology. So I would encourage you, I think you came to our last webinar. So, but yeah, think about it in terms of the recipient. They want to hear from you. They subscribe to you. They once subscribed to you. They opted in. They absolutely want to hear from you, but do it strategically, intentionally, with increased consistency. That would be my recommendation. Cecilia, let's say we have two different purposes that are time sensitive. Is it best practice to send two different emails, even if they're closer together? Will that make it appear to spam? I think it's fine. I think the value of keeping each email very clear in the consistency of singular call to action. And also, if you're personalizing, then it should be relevant to them anyway. So, does that make sense? So, I think it's fine. Like, you send a couple emails like we do, where it's like all at once within a couple weeks. They're not going to kill you on that. Like, seriously. We're talking about things like if you've got a list of 50,000 people and you automatically are spamming them all at the same time, you know, that is going to trigger. If you got a list of like 400 people, which honestly, guys, that is a solid list. It takes time. Again, long game. It takes time. So don't stress. Do not stress about like, is this going to trigger the spam filter? Is this going to get me blacklisted? No, this is not doomsday. These are just best practices. So I would say my biggest tip, just fucking do it. Just start doing it. Figure out all the rest later. The biggest challenge is just doing it. So if we don't, I know we're running really late. So I want to thank all of you for coming. I'm going to put in the chat again our email address. So you are welcome to hit me up afterwards.